Welcome to the channel where all you gotta do is put all these brackets for the front suspension, motor mounts, steering rack, and the suspension arms. Okay, so I got these parts kind of machined up and deburred. Turns out the right side is 30 thousandths narrower up down than the left side. Probably because the extra weight from the driver, so they compensated. Right, or just bad quality control. Anyway, so I tuned all those up on the mill to make them fit nice and good, and then now I got to bend that that plate that says right side on it. Okay, so here's my setup. Here's my measuring stick. So basically what I've done is I scienced out how far this is away, and this is a piece of 6-inch wide material, and I put the slot right in the middle so I can measure right to this edge pretty accurately. It's within a few thousand, so the number I'm looking for is 3 1/4 right there to this edge right here. And then over here, 3 1/4. Probably won't focus, but trust me, it's right. And then I'm making sure this guy is correct as well. So that's right around 6. That's right around 6. Actually, that's a little under 6. Yeah, that's a little under 6. So I think we're all straight. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So that's probably not going to be enough, but it's way easier to put more bend into it than taking bend out. So, and it looks like I need to bend it just a touch more. Those two aren't quite parallel, so just hit it one more time, half a pump maybe, and then we'll be in business. Okay, so I got that first bend in there. It's not perfect, but I think it's good enough. I can tack it and then bend it a little, tack it and bend it a little, just like I made the frame rails on this thing. If you didn't see that video, go, in my description. All of the Fastang data is in there, right? So all the videos, you can just click on those. It'll bring you right to episode 1, 2, 3, all the way to whatever we're at, 37 or something. So do that. While you're doing that, push the subscribe and like button and all that stuff. Okay, I got all the bends done on this side. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. I'll just do a little tune-up in that with a flap disc. It's pretty much 90 degrees. I don't know if you can see that. Let's go double check it on our fixture. Looks good. Okay, so this is my plan ish. So I'll show some CAD to show what it looks like, but basically I put these little keys on here because this one's on a 15-degree angle and this one's on a 20-degree angle, just to locate it. So I added that to the new design. So I made new parts, of course, because I'm never happy with anything. And of course these are a little bit not perfect, so I just took the angle grinder and kind of squared those off. So anyway, then that's kind of how it fits. This thing needs to be bent a little bit more, but I like to bend them not quite far enough, and then tune them up once I get all the pieces there, so I can now that I see this needs to go another 1/8 of an inch, I can just take it over to the, whatever that's called, press brake, 12-ton, $30 Harbor Freight press, and you know, fix on it. Okay, so I got these tacked in brackets in place, and the motor, I just got the bed plate and the oil pan and the motor mounts with just half of the bolts in there. But I got it at the right angle and the right distance from the transmission mount, so that's where it goes. I also, just so I don't cause myself future issues, I wanted to make sure that I could get this steering rack in and out without unwelding these brackets, which I found out that I cannot. So I was fairly certain that I could slide or rotate the rack all the way so it sticks out the right side, and then slide the rack over, and then, you know, articulate this up out of the way, but I cannot. I'm gonna have to cut a slot out of here just to allow, you know, like a 5/8 wide slot along here, so I can get it out of there, and then make a plate to go under there to, you know, add the structure back in. So anyway, this is the stuff that you have to. It's really hard to do that in CAD, to wrangle the thing in this way and that way and see if it'll still fit through. But even if you manage to do it, it doesn't. You still don't trust it. So this is why real companies make prototypes, because you don't notice things until you get a technician in there, an engineer in there. Oh, hey, look, this sucks. This is going to be terrible. And sometimes they choose to do it anyway, which is why mechanics hate engineers. But the fact of the matter is, typically the engine or transmission that they put into a car was designed for a different platform. And instead of making a whole new production line to make a new motor, when they make a new platform, they just make compromises like, well, yeah, this chassis is better, but the motor exists and the transmission exists, so this is what you get. Like, I get it. Compromises are made forever. So anyway, I'm going to try to make as few of those as possible, but obviously there are some. Like originally I wanted to push this motor back another 6 inches and run the steering rack in front of the motor. That way the motor transmission is farther back. But it was like a 2% change in weight and balance from front to rear. So it went from like 55% weight on the rear wheels to 53%, something like that. So that was a compromise I made. It also makes it way easier. Firewall doesn't have to change much and stuff like that. So anyway, so this kind of fits. I do have to make some modifications to it. I think I might change the angle of the steering rack, because the steering rack comes out over here, and it was designed at 25 degrees, but I think I'm going to move it more to 15 because it gets a better angle on this, and there's more clearance to everything. So I think I'm going to change that while I'm making some changes. But yeah, this is essentially going to be its resting place. And this is kind of nice actually, that I can put the bed plate and oil pan and motor mounts in there without the block being in my way, because, you know, I can tack stuff in place and whatever. And the transmission's not in there either. I know the distance from the center line of the bracket, the motor mounts, to here. So this is per CAD, this is in the right spot. That should be 3.5 degrees, 3.6, that's enough. Okay, so I got this thing fitted. I got it kind of welded here and there. And then I got these guys fitted, and I put this stuff all in there, tacked together. You see the tack welds here. And put the oil pan in, and made sure that I can get the oil or the steering rack in and out without pulling the motor. Now I do have to pull the motor mount. this guy. I have to pull that off of there where the steering shaft goes past, but that's not a big deal. So I made some little widgets here, so when you tighten down the steering rack, it doesn't just collapse the tube, and I got some little end pieces made up and stuck on the end there, so I can keep spider's nests from growing inside there. And just like magic, they're all welded together. And just like that, they're detailed. Magic. Okay, so I got these things all welded and cleaned up and fitted nice in here, and they're straight. They're straight like that, and like that, and the distance is the same, side to side. So, because there's a lot of projection there. The other thing that I did was the distance between this and this is 29.5, and the distance between this and this is 27.3. So I made sure that, because there's going to be projection error if this thing's not sitting perfectly in there. So those are right on. I think I might make some fixtures, just a bar with a 12mm hole in there, and then before I weld them to the frame here and all this stuff, I'll put a brace in there to hold them in the right spot and parallel and level and all that stuff. But now what I'm going to do is just tack this guy in here and here, and then I can pop these things back out and then fully weld it on the bench, which it'll move a little bit, but should be fine. So I already double checked that that will fit in with the motor in. Just gotta take the left side motor mount out. And then the other thing that is nice about this design, as opposed to a full, cross member, is I can take the oil pan off to check on bearings or whatever. These things aren't really known for bearings failure, but I can drop the pan out. I can't get the motor in from the bottom, which, unless you pull the heads off. I guess if you pull the heads off, you probably could, but it just might as well be easier to pull it out of the top. So anyway, I'm also thinking about making like an X brace that goes from here to here and from here to there, just to stiffen the bottom end. My original plan was to just use the steering rack as the kind of structure to tie the bottom together, which I think is fine, but since I had to cut this out of here, I kind of want more support for this. So I think that's what I'm going to do, but for now I'm going to, it's going to be fine as is. I'm not going to really worry about it. I'm just going to tack this guy in. I'm not going to weld all this complete yet until I get farther down the road, because who knows, I may have screwed something up. It's happened.